Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this Hearthstone The Witchwood preview video, I'm going to take a look at Voodoo Doll. Now, Voodoo Doll is a really interesting card. It's a 3-mana 1/1 minion with a battle cry to choose a minion, and then a death rattle to destroy that chosen minion. So it's a neutral card, so it's neutral hard removal. And that's pretty staggering. That's something that hasn't been seen that much in Hearthstone, and it has the potential to be very, very powerful. There is a predecessor to it, which is the Thinkmaster Overspark. So Thinkmaster Overspark is a 3-mana 3/3 minion with a battle cry to transform a random minion to a Devil's Roar or a Squirrel. However, Thinkmaster in its current form is much less reliable than Voodoo Doll, because you can't control which minion gets transformed. The only way where Thinkmaster serves as hard removal is when there's only one minion on the board. And even then, Thinkmaster doesn't remove it, it transforms it, which is in most cases preferable even to hard removal because it prevents death rattles. But sometimes of course you really want to get rid of that minion, so then it doesn't quite work out that way. That said, Thinkmaster Overspark has been nerfed before in Hearthstone. So originally Thinkmaster Overspark was able to target the minion that you wanted to transform, and then it was used in almost every deck. It was used extremely widely in the game. So that means that Voodoo Doll has some real potential. Voodoo Doll is a little bit slower because it's the death rattle that actually destroys the minion. So preferably you need some way to remove your Voodoo Doll immediately in order to use it as hard removal. Compared to class-based hard removal, Voodoo Doll is generally weaker. Often if your class already has hard removal, you want to use that. But there are some scenarios where Voodoo Doll is stronger. For example, because it's a minion, it can actually target minions that cannot be targeted by spells or hero powers. So you can Voodoo Doll a Tyrantus, and kill off your Voodoo Doll and boom, Tyrantus is dead. But overall, class-based removal is preferable, and Voodoo Doll is your second choice. Second choice in what kind of circumstances? Well, one circumstance is if you run a deck with Spiteful Summoner. Well, if you run a deck with Spiteful Summoner, you don't want to use any cheap spells. Some of the hard removal spells are pretty cheap, so you don't want to run them, but you can use Voodoo Doll instead. Like in Priest, you can use Voodoo Doll together with the Duskbreaker, for example, for immediate effect a little bit later in the game. In many other decks you might not have an immediate way to trigger the effect. But still, yet another option for Spiteful Summoner decks to turn their removal from spell-based into minion-based, which is exactly what those decks want to do. Also, if you're playing a class that has a bit of a problem with removal, let's say you're playing Druid for example, and the only hard removal Druid naturally has is Naturalize, which also allows the opponent to draw 2 cards, which is fine if you're playing Mill, but a little bit inconvenient if you're playing any other archetype. However, you could use Voodoo Doll and combine that with either the Jasper Spellstone or Wrath, and have hard removal that way. For example, Voodoo Doll plus Wrath is 5-mana hard removal. Wrath draws you another card to replace itself, so you only really expend 1 card to do that. Obviously, something like Rogue has Assassinate, which is 5-mana hard removal, and it doesn't see play. But Druid doesn't have any better options, so there's some kind of a chance for this combo to be used as a substitute hard removal for Druid. However, the place where Voodoo Doll really shines is if you're playing a Baku deck. If you're playing a Baku deck, you have to use only odd cost cards. And several classes have their hard removal in even cost cards. Warrior has Execute, Shaman has Hex, Mage has Polymorph. All of these options are out of consideration if you're running a Baku deck. But Voodoo Doll in your Baku deck. If you're playing Warrior, you have Whirlwind effects anyway, Voodoo Doll is very easy to kill. So it's a replacement Execute for Warrior. If you're playing Mage, well, you already have a hero power that can kill Voodoo Doll. So once again, you're replacing hard removal with another hard removal just in order to be able to use Baku. If you're playing Shaman, it's a little bit more difficult to proc the Voodoo Doll immediately, but still, it's an option. Voodoo Doll also gives some kind of added hard removal for a Baku Warlock, if you were to play such a thing, because Baku Warlock loses all removal. Defile is out of the window, Hellfire, Siphon Soul, Twisting Nether, it's all gone. But the new cards give Warlock some odd cost hard removal. There's Voodoo Doll, which combines very nicely with Mortal Coil or Dark Pact, by the way. And then there's Lord Godfrey, which is a 7 cost card. So you could build this kind of Baku Warlock now that you have some removal pieces. The real question though when it comes to this is why would you want to? The Warlock hero power is already excellent and Baku doesn't really improve it that much, so you probably don't want to build this kind of a deck, even though Voodoo Doll now gives you some kind of realistic opportunity to do that. Finally, you could also consider running Voodoo Doll in Hunter. But then again, is it that much better than Deadly Shot and Hunter's Mark? Deadly Shot is a random minion, so Voodoo Doll is targeted. There are some upsides. You can proc the Voodoo Doll with something like an Arcane Shot. Hunter has these low-cost spells that deal damage that can be used to trigger the effect. But there's also Hunter's Mark, which combines nicely with stuff like Candle Shot and Unleash, so Voodoo Doll already requires you to do a 2-card combo to pull it off. And most Hunter removal right now also basically requires you to do a 2-card combo or something like that. So I'm not sure if Voodoo Doll is that much better, so it would actually see play in Hunter. Especially if Spell Hunter continues to be a thing, so you don't want to put minions into the deck. All that said, neutral removal is really interesting, because it's so rare and it's so powerful to get these sort of effects into classes and decks that otherwise don't have them. I don't expect Voodoo Doll to see a ton of play. I think in most cases the class removal is better than Voodoo Doll, but there are some clear niches where Voodoo Doll can shine. And Baku decks is one clear niche where Voodoo Doll has a solid place, and another one is Spiteful Summoner decks. So a very, very interesting card for sure. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.